name is Elan Carter, and I was a Soul Train dancer from 1981 to 1986.
Baby, you make my love come down. Ooh, you make my love come down. Make it go all the way down.
I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and I was raised in Nutley, New Jersey till about maybe 10 years old. My mother got married to my stepfather, and he's Otis Williams of the Temptations. When I was younger, I would come out every summer. Back then, the kids were not allowed to live in the apartments, so they bought a house, and then I was 10 when I actually officially moved to California. When I was little, I remember us watching Soul Train all the time. So it wasn't really an inspiration for dancing. Like, I always danced. It was just part of what we did at home because of the music I grew up on. You know, I was always listening to soul music. My parents always listened to stuff like Al Green. I mean, we had that. That was a staple in the house. So dancing was fun. It wasn't the initiation of me getting on Soul Train. My mother's friend had this son who said, hey, I'm going on a Soul Train and my son doesn't have a date and he doesn't want to go by himself. So they asked her if I would go on. And so the guy was really nice. Never met him before. I was 14. I think he might have been about 17 years old. And we went on the show and I got asked to go on the riser and do the scramble board the first time I went on the show.
Now let's meet two of our Soul Train dancers. How your name?
Elan Carter.
Elanda?
Craig Clark.
Craig, you're both familiar with the Soul Train scramble board, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he was asked back. That was a bad thing. I think he was mad and didn't speak to me again. It was such a big deal. Soul Train was a big deal then. So when I got invited back, I got my little friends to come on the show. And so it became like a monthly thing that we look forward to. So that was my introduction. And I was such a valley girl, my mother said, that she was so happy that I got some urban friends, right? I wasn't like, oh my God, like totally. So she was like, good Lord, thank the Lord. That's why she wanted me to go on in the first place. I always loved Niecy Payne. I always thought Niecy was so beautiful. I love Crystal. Crystal had the body. Like, Crystal would come down Soul Train line, and I always knew who these women were because they were so popular. Of course, Cheryl Song, because everyone knows who Cheryl Song is. So there were like kind of the three women, and then Diana Hicks was one of my favorite people. And once they put me on the risers, they knew that I was young, and they kind of gravitated to me because I kind of just latched on to them. I just totally admired them. I admired them as women. I would actually try to emulate the way they dress, their style sometimes, because I wasn't really a dancer. You know, I could get by, but I would try to like emulate some of their dance moves and try to like fit in with the women and look more mature than I was, because at that time I thought I looked grown because I had the makeup and the hair, but I really was just a kid. I kind of had a group of girls that actually we were around the same age. I became really good friends with two other girls. One's name is Carolyn, who is married to Chuck Johnson, and my best friend, which we really said we were cousins. She was like my sister. Her name is Renee Zanzi. She's no longer with us. Carolyn started making clothes. So she would make clothes for us before Tamichi started doing it. And she would just throw some rags together. She would have just a piece of suede or cloth, and she would just tie our outfits up because we were trying to look sexy. Now, remember now, we're kids. Then as we evolved and matured, then we would come up with different things. We collaborate together so we have our own style. Tamichi did make some outfits for us, especially for me. He actually made this one dress that I remember that was so pretty that I ended up wearing it for my prom. I danced with Marco Santiago a lot, and I also danced with Derek. Derek always had the tail. He always had the box tail on him. Those were the main dancers. I switched up, but for the most part, I danced with them most of the time. Going down the line was always traumatizing for me. I would get nervous. Like, I love doing it. But every time it came close to me, I would like totally freeze up because, you know, the other girls, they wanted to be featured and they do their thing. And I think that I hadn't really come into my own yet because I still was kind of young. I loved doing it, but I would always get nervous. Like, I always wanted to make sure that I looked good. It was fun, it was exciting. And also, I wanted to come down when I had a really nice outfit. I was more concerned about the outfit I had on than the actual dancing. You know I could just kind of walk through and do a little shimmy. So, you know, I got through it, I loved it. Now I look back on it and I'm like, I should have been more into it. I loved the time. Back then, the time was really hot. I remember when Vanity came on, oh my God, every guy on the show was losing their mind, including the gay guys. It was so funny. Everyone was so awed because she was so gorgeous. They were just like, oh my God. I remember that was one of my favorite episodes. When I first started dancing on the show, music videos weren't popular yet. And then music videos started coming, and then they started using like dancers in the videos. And then they started approaching Soul Train and saying, hey, look, as an agency, you should start using girls on the show. Needless to say, Don wasn't really open to it at that time because he didn't really see that it was gonna explode like it did. Go into the future of music videos was gonna be a thing. And MTV had just started. But a couple of the girls had dated a few people that were entertainers and actually got us in music videos. So I think the first music video I did was Howard Johnson, So Fine. And then I did 2 occasions. I think it was only like 17 or 18 when I did that video. And it was because I was a Soul Train dancer, because I really hadn't delved into modeling just yet. I was just starting to get my feet wet. Around 86, I started modeling and making a lot of money. I did some runway because we had local shows like Nordstrom's. I've done Fashion Week in New York. I did a lot of print. I was the catalog queen. I was in every catalog. I made a lot of money. So I would go over to Germany to work. I did some television shows. I did Fresh Prince. I did Seinfeld, As the World Turns. So I did some episodic shows too. And that's when I faded away from Soul Train. I came back to Soul Train probably the early 90s, but I came back as a guest. So at this time, now I'm modeling and doing really well, and I was dating I'll Be Sure. He's like, you gotta come on the show. I'm like, no, I used to dance on the show. He's like, no, come. It was just really interesting to be there as his girlfriend. I was his girlfriend at the time. If I could do it all over again, I would have practiced my dancing. I would have been in the mirror and getting a signature dance, you know? I think I would have tried not to be as shy. It did help me because people that know me now have a hard time believing it. I was really shy. And that's one of the reasons why my mother pushed me to be on the show. It helped me get out of that mode, but I wish I wouldn't have been as shy. I think Soul Train was impactful because I remember being a little girl in New Jersey and my parents watching it every single weekend. Oh my God, Soul Train was on. And we're coming out of the 60s when our parents or grandparents were fighting for civil rights. And so you come out with this new show. It just was the new sensation. There was no Black shows on TV during that time. So Don Cornelius was the first one to actually make history in Black culture by doing that.